Stephen with Business Growth Engine. Today I wanted to go over the 4 different stages of business growth. We have a lot of questions about that as we're doing consultation calls, helping small businesses out just like you guys. We like to go over there, we like to categorize where you're at in your business growth so we can help you get to that next level. A lot of people struggle with it, they don't know where to go on that next level. And that's what we wanted to break down today, is the 4 different stages, what they are, how they work, and see where you're at inside your business career. So if you know where you're at, then you know where to go. That's kind of one of the things that we wanted to highlight in this video. We've helped small businesses all across the country automate, scale, and market their business. We've helped businesses anywhere bringing in a few $1,000s a month to millions of dollars a year. And we want to help small businesses just like you succeed in the marketplace. So with that, there's 4 different stages of business growth that we like to look at. You have your startup, your movement, your team building, and your profits. We're going to dive into each and every one of these in this video. The startup phase is the most exciting phase that everybody is in. As soon as you start a business, as soon as you have an idea. This is where a lot of people tend to stay for a while. Normally, the startup phase is anywhere from 1 to 6 years. I know that sounds like a lot, but the reason behind that is because a lot of small businesses actually fail, and you can't really categorize where they were at because everyone's at different stages and they fall apart. But what we look at from the startup phase is, do you have any reoccurring capital? If you have reoccurring capital, that's a good sign. Or do you have a core product? Do you have a core offer / product? And what I mean by that is that you have to have a core offer or product that you are selling. You need to look at your finances and you need to say, hey, this is what we're selling. This is where we're making most of our money. And this is what we need to continue to sell, continue to push to grow our revenue. So what I mean by that is that if you have reoccurring revenue coming in, that means that you're generating enough, you're creating enough value that customers are either coming back or they're signing up for a subscription plan. That's a very huge plus. And then on top of that, if you have your core offer or your core products, you're going to be able to see those and you're going to be able to know exactly what they're selling. Now, most small businesses don't even make it a year in this if they work really hard. If you're working extremely hard, you're putting in a lot of time, a lot of energy, it's not just a habit, you're going to blow right past the startup phase and you're going to move into what we call the movement phase. Now, the movement phase can be a really long detriment road. This is where you're either going to make it or you're going to break it, as we call it. So the movement phase can last anywhere from 2 years to infinity. And what I mean by that infinity is that there's a lot of small businesses that think they're small businesses, but they're still stuck in the movement phase. And what we do is we analyze this, we look at this, and in order to be in the movement phase, you need to be bringing in revenue on a consecutive basis. You need to have your reoccurring revenue established. You need to be bringing in above $5,000 a month, but that is depending on the business. And what we always find is a good benchmark is $5,000 and up a month, and being able to look to the future, scale out, hey, this is what the next 6 months, 12 months look like. Now, in the startup phase, you're super excited, you're go, 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 you're chasing every single person. The movement phase now is a little bit different because what's happening is you're looking at it and you're saying, hey, I don't want to chase every single customer now. What I want to do is I want to focus on the customers that actually matter. So this is where a lot of your market research is done now. You can do market research in startup, you're absolutely right. But the big thing to remember is that your idea here, most of the time, is going to change by the time you get to the movement stage. You're going to start seeing different results. You're going to adjust and adapt and overcome. So this is where you're going to do a lot of market research. This is where you also are focusing on client acquisition, and you're focusing on what is my next year, 2 years go, what are my financial goals. This is where you're starting to set your SMART goals, You're most of the time you're starting to introduce more offers, more products, more services. So these are kind of the signs that you're moving into that movement stage, and this can last for a really long time. We see a lot of businesses making, $15,000-$20,000 a month still in the movement stage because they're taking on every single client that they come across. They have some of the goals, but they don't have all their SMART goals. They don't have product. They're not rolling out new products or new offers until it's almost too late. So they're kind of just skating by. Now, I know you're probably thinking $20,000, $30,000 a month is a lot of money, and you're absolutely right. It is. But as a business, it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. So some of the things you need to focus on in order to move out of the movement stage and move up into the next tier of business is, what is my next year going to look like? How can I double what I'm doing? What is working? What is not working? And these are some of the things that you need to ask yourself. If you have a business partner, you're going to ask them as well. Because what's going to happen is then that's when you're going to start cutting some things. You're going to start improving things. And this is where you also want to start refining your core offer or your core product. This is where you start to finalize it, start kind of reshaping it. If it's software, you're rolling out new updates. If it's a product, maybe you're rolling out a different version of it. Things like that. Because the goal here is where you have a little bit extra money and you can start throwing things at the wall. Not necessarily to see if they stick, but to see what your customers want. And that goes back to that book, The Pumpkin Plan, we always recommend. Is you're not necessarily throwing them at the wall, but you're doing it very strategically. You're trying to see what your customers are going to bite on. Now, once you figure that out, then you can double down on it and you can start scaling your business. Now, also keep in mind the movement stage, you're going to start running into issues. So I'm going to erase some of this real quick because I want to show you guys something. This is where a lot of people get stuck in the movement stage and they start falling apart, and they start to see the collapse of their business. Because in the movement stage, so if this is the start stage, right? This is the startup. You shoot up, you're super excited. Most of the time you hit the movement stage right about here, and you start going, and then you'll start seeing this. And this is where people start to panic. And then what happens after that is they abandon ship. And they start back over. And they go up, going good, crash again, make it a little bit further, and then they bail again. They do the same thing again, and again, and again. So you can see the trend. A lot of people start to run into those issues, and then they start to back off from their business. They don't know how to fix them. They don't know how to overcome them, and they don't know what is the next steps. So the issue with that is that you need to evaluate your goals. You need to look at your goals. You need to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And by doing that, you're going to identify a couple different weak points in your business. Maybe it's shooting content. Maybe it's creating more content. Maybe it's just talking to more people. Things like that. That's how you're going to identify your weaknesses, and you're going to be able to overcome this initial crash, and then you're going to be able to go back up faster, and then you'll come back to another crash. And then, guess what? You'll hit another one, and you'll go higher. And then you'll come back down, back up, back down, back up. That's what business is. Business is never just a straight line or a straight down. It's always curves, ups and downs, in order to make sure that you're actively growing, you're actively learning, and you're actively pursuing what you set out to achieve. One of the other things, the next step is teamwork. Now that you've gotten all that stuff, now you have your team. This is where you can start focusing on outsourcing, growing, managing your team, start to build your team the way that you need it. This is where a lot of the hiring takes place. And the issue with it is in the startup phase and in the movement phase, a lot of people actually start to hire then versus in the team phase. The team phase is good. You're in the team phase when you're effectively bringing in enough money to pay people the salary and still have money left over. So, and I know we mentioned back in the movement phase that, oh, it's, $5,000 and up. There's really no set number for the team phase. That's the big challenge, is that there's no set number. It's very different for each one. But you're in it when there's some dead giveaways. You can hire. You have multiple offers. And you can effectively start paying yourself. Those are the core three. Now, you may ask, like, hey, like, what? Why here? And it's very, very different. It's very depending on what you're looking at. But that's the big thing, is that you got to pay yourself in the team phase in order to grow. Now, with that, once you get to those, then you can start going into the grow phase. Now, every team will go through the grow phase multiple times. And the grow phase, we like to tell people, this is where you have full-time staff. You have more money coming in that you could set aside to grow. And you can focus on other operations. You can roll out new products. You can start giving back. Now, once you start rolling out new products, you're going to recycle the stages of business growth, and you're going to re-enter them again. So that's the way that we try to tell people, is think about it this way. Think about every single option. So you have 4 different stages. Every single stage depends on the product. It's because you're going to have one core offer that's going to take you all the way through this growth stage. And in the movement stage, you're going to start testing other products. Once you start seeing those start to have results, then you can roll those into a startup phase, movement phase, team phase, and growth stage. So those are the 4 stages of business growth that we identify, that we know are effective. And we want to try to get everybody to this stage for every single product. Now, there's going to be some products that you just don't, but keep in mind that this is the main objective of every single business, is getting to that growth stage. If you're able to get to that growth stage, you have a sustainable business for the next 10 to 15 years before you have to revisit it, retweak it, and move on from there. So keep that in mind as you're going through your process. The 4 stages of business growth will help you identify where you're lacking and what you need to work on. And the biggest thing is just don't give up when the time gets hard, because then you'll start seeing the benefits outweigh the pros as you put in more time, more effort. It takes a monumental task to grow your business. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, shoot me a text or give me a call at 931-220-7630. I would love to assist you, point you guys in the right direction, offer advice, and just hear about all your guys' success. But once again, the 4 stages of business growth: you have your startup, your movement, your team, and your grow.